Hey guys, my name looks like it says Ari, but it's not Ari. It's Justin. Oh, there's my doppelganger. Ari, do you want me to give you back the controls? Hey Pam, how are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for joining us. I
Of
saw
course.
Rachel in here. How are you? I think we're gonna wait to see who pops in. Um, hey Sunday. I think this was announced
Hello.
to the majority of folks. Did anyone see this in sub twos group? You did, Father Girl? Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Victoria texted me saying, "Hey, do you want to release this to sub two?" I said, "Absolutely." So I don't think Pace is joining us. I think Pace is on another Zoom. He did acknowledge everything, and we'll just let people trickle in. I do know that I believe Silesia ended up meeting with Connecticut. No, Natick
Natick.
today.
Yes.
So how did that go? I saw your notes, and there's how many families? 12 families? 13?
They have about 81 families, but they work with a few people, a few groups, so they only have 14 more boxes to fill. So they want to fill the boxes with the things that are on the link they sent, and then we just fill out those boxes and bring it to the center. By Sunday is like the latest. So, we only have 1 week. So we're going to fill up the boxes with those things and then bring it to the center, and then the families will go there and pick them up. Um, yeah, they're not doing any cooking. I mean, if we wanted to do any cooking or anything, now is, we can't really do that today. I
Okay,
mean, for this Thanksgiving, because they're all booked and all that. So,
for sure. All right, and we'll get into that. I did learn that yesterday. Um, let's see what time. So we got 30 people in here right now, 6:04. We'll give it another minute. Just change.
yeah, so they have other community partners. I think somebody's doing, a group is doing 27 boxes, another group is doing 10 boxes. So there's only 14 left. And then we picked up those 14. And she was very happy about it. Was so relieved that somebody can do that. And yeah, we
That's
could,
great.
yeah.
So there's probably some pressure that was relieved
Yeah, I could
for
see
the
that on her face. She was like almost she almost couldn't believe that, we can do all those 14 boxes. So she wasn't expecting us to do all that. So, and we can do that because it doesn't seem like it's a lot. We just need $100 gift cards for those 14 families, and then the rest of the things. So the gift card is for them to go to, there's a store there, I forgot the name, for them to go to those stores and get the turkey, whatever they need. And then we fill up the boxes with, the rest of the things, which I forgot, but I can pull up the link. But yeah, so
got it.
that, and then they're different. So because I asked, can you join us tonight? Because we're gonna have families from, family promise from New Hampshire tonight, and then maybe other places. But she said they can't do it tonight because they have a fundraiser. They only have two, and tonight is one of the nights, so she can't join. Otherwise, she would love to, but they each have different programs, I guess. So yeah.
Good stuff. Awesome. Well, thank you for doing that. Thank you for taking the initiative. Obviously, meeting earlier, and then what we'll do is we'll combine your notes and notes
Mhm.
of everybody else's sort of what, and then we're gonna do essentially we'll do like one bird's eye view over everything. But what I wanted to do is at least give Pam the floor. So Pam, welcome. Uh,
Thank you.
this is our community. This is still it's growing. 35 people I don't know how far it's going to reach tonight. You'll probably see folks trickle in right at the end of your conversation too. Just like, hey, I'm here to the party. And they're
Okay.
always fashionably late, and then we'll have to update them later, but that's normal. But thank you for meeting yesterday. Guys, really
We were happy
quickly,
to.
thank you. And guys, just real quick, and then I'm gonna give Pam the floor. So Pam is with the Nashua Family Promise. So they are, what I've come to learn, is the second largest in the country. And the reason I had said that a few times to you guys, knowing that, but I didn't know the context behind it, but they're housing, 60 odd families in one property. And it's a pretty cool property. And it's an old school. So, Pam may dig into that, but we were able to collaborate really briefly yesterday. She agreed to be here. Her counterparts and other Family Promise leaders are here, along with our great community. So let's give them the floor. I would say our questions, just to be respectful of their time, because of course their time is, donated essentially here too. So let's listen to the message. Things will evolve, things will change, but at the end of the day, we will still deliver and we will still serve. So let's just be thoughtful and yeah. And a lot of the things we don't have worked out, and we will work them out as they come. So let's not panic too. If there's some things that you're worried about, some of our analytical friends. And Pam, please take the floor.
Thanks. Thank you so much, everyone, for having us. Rachel Hand is the executive director for Family Promise North Shore, which is in Beverly, Massachusetts. Patty Frew Waters so Rachel's here. I'd like for her to speak too. Patty Frew Waters is the executive director for Seacoast Family Promise in New Hampshire. And she's joining the call if she's not already on it. I don't see her, but I did speak with her. She is good. Okay. And then Stephen Croak is the executive director for Concord Family Promise. And he was joining too. I don't know if he's here.
Yeah, I see Stephen.
Okay, good, good. You know what, Justin, if you don't mind, just for the other executive directors, can you tell them what this program is about? Because they haven't had the opportunity to hear it, so I think they can respond in a more efficient way to all of you if they know what's going on.
Absolutely. No, and that's great. And I think, we talked about this yesterday too. It's like, we're both sort of, we approached you. You're like, who are you? The same thing. I was like, I know a little bit about you, but I don't know what I'm doing. So, it's all good. So thank you. We are a community. We are a real estate minded, countrywide, almost worldwide now, community. It's called Sub2, SUBTO. See this logo, a peace sign everywhere, emoji. And it's just a community of like-minded individuals. We say we're filtered. Everyone in this room has paid to be in this room. They paid to be in a mentorship, and they continue to try to just, we're a community. That's really it. And so now what this community is run by a gentleman named Pace Morby, and he is just pioneering the real estate industry at this current moment, along with other, things. And now this is evolving into business buying, and it's just the gift that keeps on giving. This community is growing a lot larger, and we don't just solve one problem. We don't just do one transaction. We're not just there's realtors, investors, Airbnb hosts, long-term rentals. How about we have just sober living, strictly folks doing sober living to assisted living, you name it, we do it. And there's an individual for every facet of the business. Moving forward, we are growing as a community. There's about 12,000 of us growing. And there's members every day coming in. And with that being said, there was a young lady, Kim Walls, out of the California area. And I see Sundays here too, Sundays in California. Sundays on that, I would say, committee that really pioneered this. And so what we're doing is we're just doing our own little branch off. Obviously in New England, we're like, hey, we're going to do this. This is what we're doing. But they kicked it off and said, hey, we're going to do Sub2 gives thanks. And really, last year, the gentleman who owns or started Sub2, he went to a town and just, they cleared out a bunch of grocery stores of turkeys and just donated thousands of dollars of just turkeys and everything. And it was just this sporadic, spontaneous giveaway. And the next thing, you know, the mayor was there and all the press started showing up because it was just a random act of kindness. This year was a little bit more, you know, intentional, and we're trying to do more intentional giving. So Kim and Sunday and the team, they found Family Promise. And I think more or less that it's on the outside or from their research, it looked like a great organization. I don't know the logistics behind all of that, but it really doesn't matter as long as we're here. But countrywide is the goal, you know, and I think it was, they wanted to deliver or serve all 50 states, even though Family Promise may not be in all 50 states. We know that they have counterparts and, you know, of the likes in our community can come from those 50 states. We can give to another state, I'm sure, like we're doing in the Northeast or the New England market, excuse me. So that's just it. We're here to give thanks. We thought, I think at one point it was going to be like, hey, we're going to have one giant meetup, the 11th of November, 22nd of November, excuse me. And we're all going to, you know, either get together at that same time. Of course, time differences are real in our country, but the goal was to assemble as a community, deliver the food as a community, serve the community, you know, with our community. And it was going to be on one day. So that's just it. You know, we're here. Everyone was told, all right, we need leaders for every state. We need a list of folks to serve those seats in different seats for calling for donations, doing social media, you know, getting in touch with the news outlets if we want to try to get news, you know, involved for publicity. Geez, I can't speak this today. Sorry. So just that. And so again, there's going to be a bunch of seats, bunch of roles, things that need to be addressed. Here we are. They're supposed to call each and reach out to each. I was lucky enough to have Pam, and Pam is starting to collaborate and with her peers. So I just said, hey, listen, can we, as for 6 states, and I think we're in 4 of them, Family Promises in 4 of them. So Vermont and Rhode Island, but we're going to have our community come to their local, you know, I think we called not a syndicate, Pam, we called it, I was calling
Affiliates,
affiliates. I keep wanting
The
to call it a
affiliates.
charter, a chapter.
chapters, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
We're called affiliates on a national level, but you can call us whatever you want. We're partners.
So
We're
the
just
affiliates,
partners.
thank you. And so it's just that and I said, listen, we're running out of time. And Pam was like, hey, just so you know, like, that's all cool and all, but yeah, Thanksgiving's pretty much like accounted for, and it all in good fun, right? We will still deliver on a bunch of other things. And this is a constant need, guys. This is not, you know, hey, sub 2 comes in 1 minute and they think they're going to solve the world's problems. These folks are doing this daily, so, and weekly and hourly, I should say. So we're going to serve and deliver whatever we can. I think it might be, let's figure out which area needs what. Bird's eye view, as I called it. We want to look at it and say, okay, I think we can serve. Yeah, maybe we have to pull back on something, maybe not, but yeah, we want to just do as much as we can. So I hope that summed it up to some degree, but who we are, just a community of like-minded real estate investors and entrepreneurs.
Well, we feel really blessed by this, by you reaching out to us, you know, with you people being a national organization, we are too. So the partnership is just outstanding.
I heard,
Does anyone else want to give the overview of Family Promise? So does everybody, all of your investors and everyone else outside of Family Promise understand who Family Promise is and what we do, or is that what you're looking for from us?
I think that we would look, and I think the young lady who actually, Kim, who I mentioned earlier, she just joined, I heard. So if she wants to also speak, but I would say that was one of the things, the goal for me in New England here in our community as leaders, we were thinking, hey, let's grab you or grab your counterparts or your peers, and let's get just what they may need, who you are, what you are. Because again, our message sometimes gets delayed. Some folks only come to this call. They only read our messages, you know, once a week.
Right.
So feel free to share that. And yeah, and if Kim, I don't know if I see you here, but if Kim, if you want to pipe in too, introduce yourself.
I
that'd be
do.
awesome.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I see you now. Awesome. Hand raised. Thank you.
what I want to do is thank you. Like, of all the people we've been dealing with, you have done an incredible job of rallying and bringing things together in a way that is really beautiful and exciting and heartfelt. And so really, I just want to thank you. And there's a certain story about Family Promise that I heard from our local, I think it was our local chapter, or maybe, I don't even know where I heard about it, but it was the thing that kind of pulled my heartstrings. So there's what Family Promise does as a like overarching, but there's this one story where I heard about a husband and wife, and they had 2 small children. The wife was a stay-at-home mom. The husband died unexpectedly, and they had babies. I think there were 2 and 1 or something like that. And the house was going into foreclosure, and they didn't know what to do. And Family Promise stepped in. Somebody had them reach out to Family Promise, and they not only got this family placed, but they helped the mom get job education and get a job. And then they sponsored her in being able to get a rental, and really stayed with her as case managers and with this family all the way through. And with knowing what our children are facing in this world in so many different ways, as much as we can do to help people who want to be in a family unit stay in a family unit, I think it's really extraordinary. And I know how special that is. And I'm really excited that Pam is here and is going to share. But that was the thing, like, it was that story. And they have probably thousands upon thousands of stories just like that. And so just massive gratitude to you and to Pam and to Family Promise.
Cool.
Well, we're so grateful to you too for finding Family Promise out there in California, and for the way that you feel about us, because that's exactly what we do. We're in 45 states nationally, and Patty, Rachel, Stephen, please jump in. I don't have to lead this pack. I'm like you, Justin, I'm just the organizer. I just bring people together, right? But we are in 45 states. We've got over 220 affiliates, 230 affiliates at this point. That number keeps changing because we keep growing. The need for homelessness assistance and keeping families together is throughout our country. Is just, we all know this, we all see it, right? We work in it on a daily basis, boots on the ground. And that's exactly what we do. Is we find these families. They're referred to us through, school districts, through our faith homes, through self-referrals, through so many different entities. People come to us from all walks of life, from all places, and their needs are all very different. But the common ground is that they don't have a home. They've lost their home because of life circumstances. It can be generational poverty in some instances. It can be generational homelessness in some instances, but it can also be the average working family, low to middle income, who lost their jobs during COVID. Excuse me, and I'm going to lose my voice because I've been talking all day. But they've lost their job, they've lost their jobs, and they've lost their homes, or it could be an illness or a divorce or something. None of us are above these life circumstances that cause people to lose their homes. So that's what we do, and we find these families. We have our own individual programs in our own communities. Rachel's community is different than mine, different than Patty's, different than Stephen's, and different from all the other Family Promises. So we focus on our own individual communities, the needs of our communities, and we build our programs according to what our community needs. And that's really a beautiful thing about Family Promise National, is they trust us to know our own communities best and serve our own communities best. But the common ground is that it is homeless families, and in some instances, homeless individuals. The 2 principles of Family Promise are interfaith and volunteerism. Interfaith, we're not a religious organization. We're a regular 501c3, but we were founded, Patty, Rachel, 40 years ago by Karen Olson, right? In Summit, New Jersey, and that's where our headquarters is. And she found a family who was living in the street or living in their car, and she went to her pastor and said, can we help this family? They ended up housing the family, feeding the family, helping them financially, getting them back up on their feet, and thus it began, and it spread like wildfire throughout her parish as well as other congregations in Summit, New Jersey. And that's how the original model started. And 40 years later, here we are with such growth. We're the premier homelessness organization in the country. When you look at like American Diabetes, American Heart Association, Family Promise is that organization that deals with our own mission of family homelessness. So that's what we do. I don't want to speak for the other family promises. I'd love for you to hear from each one of us because we're all different, just very quickly. But we're not the second largest affiliate nationally. We're the second largest static site, Justin. I don't want, because of the volume, the size of our building and the volume of people we can house on an annual basis.
I'm just gonna keep, you know, pumping those numbers up and just keep
That's
pumping
right.
up like Nashua. We have, we're the reigning champs, second place.
We are
60.
currently serving 60 families, but that's 24 families in residence in our building. Our supportive housing, our graduates who are still coming back for services on a daily basis, and people from the community on our wait list. So that's where you got the 60 from. It's actually 62 that we're currently serving throughout all of our programs.
So good. So good. No,
Yeah.
and guys, they took real quick, and then I want other folks to speak, but it's I think it was a Catholic school because of I could tell right away from the woodwork and, you know,
Yes, it was an old
just-
Catholic school.
they put 3 point some odd million into it. All, you know, I think they were raising these funds. So pretty cool where they got to take a place in Nashua, New Hampshire, and take a school, revitalize it, repurpose it. And I got to take a tour of that school. It was pretty awesome. And for us in real estate and some of us that nerd out in that type of industry of the construction, I liked it. I appreciated it. I actually want to do a school one day. So, cool. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you so much. And Patty, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, and listening to Pam and everything she said is very true, but we're sort of like Tupperware, in that there's this overreaching organization.
We
but
love Patty.
Yeah, we are. We are very different in how we do our presentations and our work within our community. There are just a couple of things that I would highlight. We have a static site now, and it's interesting that you're talking about Thanksgiving, because actually, as I sit here amongst all of the paperwork in front of me, I'm notifying 50 different community families who have signed up to buy Thanksgiving dinner for, I think it's 55 families who used to be in our program. I've been the director for 17 years at Seacoast Family Promise, and it is 20 years old. In October, we turned 20. And just like Pam, we continue to move and to grow and to think of what serves our community best. We have a great day center. We have 2 units of affordable housing. I have $1 million HUD grant that I'm partnering with a group in Dover for tiny homes. And also during COVID, which changed, you know, a lot of our lives, we purchased a building. So now we have a residential building for our families, our current families, and they go there at 5:30 in the evening, and we have overnight staff, and they leave at around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. And we just broke ground this week on 4,000 square feet of additional rooms that we need, because the numbers are so great. So if anybody has any money, I'm happy to use some of it. I think the 2 things that stick with me over my 17 years is, number one, that our families, there is no way to identify our families. We have had people with master's degrees.
Right.
We have had, but somebody in the family got cancer. And as Pam said, any circumstance. But teaching people to respect money, to have financial wherewithal, to have a relationship with their money, to know how to budget, to know how to do all of those things in a world where everything is so fast, so expensive, and so debit cardy. That is a big part of what we do. And good tenancy, parenting skills. We have an aftercare program as Pam does. I know Pam does diversion, which is not something we do, but that is an extremely useful tool. And so we really are very broad. Now, 92% of our families over 19 years have remained in housing and remains stable, which we are very proud of. And we are a staff of 4, and then that we have our overnight folks. We have people throughout the community who provide meals every single night. And so we utilize now, because how our program has changed, is probably about 700 people a year. And people from without, and I just wrote a list of people who are making cookies for Santa's, pictures with Santa. And so it's really making families know that they are cared about and that they have a life. Healthy communities we seem to have forgotten about, and housing people in affordable housing who work in schools, and they're firemen, and there might be teachers, they might be paras, they might be machinists, they might be whatever. Workforce housing is so important, because what would we do with all of those people? And so, so I think this is an excellent conversation. Pam's probably laughing at me going, yep, I want to just invite you all to Seacoast Family Promise and let's spend the day and we'll figure this out. I just think, and I want to talk about the children, if I could, just for a second. And I was happy to have Kim mention that. As we look down the road in this country and what we will look like, I would suggest that if we don't take action now and help families that need help, and help them remain together, intact and stable, help people find educational opportunities, whatever. If every family that all of us from Family Promise here have touched, let's say each family had 3 children. If we don't help these families, then you risk those children.
Right.
For trauma, for lack of education, for anxiety, depression, seclusion, perhaps, addiction of some sort. The children in homelessness really suffer because they don't understand the loss of everything. And so if we don't fix that, who pays for that later on in this country? Who helps all of those children who grow up and perhaps live on welfare, or are ambling out there on the street homeless themselves because they didn't think that anybody cared. And to me, that is so important. I mean, we have put kids in prom dresses and numerous times, and graduation caps and gowns. We just bought a cap and gown and a yearbook for a young lady, single dad, 2 children, and she's graduating this year. And they've been gone from the program now for 3 years and have been stable. That's an expense that is over and above.
Right.
So I would suggest that what you are doing, hopefully, is going to help the future, make healthy communities now and into the future for all of us. And I won't keep going because, as you can tell, we could just talk forever about our programs. It is such a gift, I will say, as a director, to be able to get up every single day and go to work and help people. I mean, that for me, that is such a gift. And all of the directors that I know here in New Hampshire, they're great people, and we do it because we love it. We don't do it to get rich, because that's not going to happen. But thank you for what you do and what you will do across this country, across this world, because people have dared to step up and say, we can, so why don't we? And that's a very, very important thing. So thank you very much. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Patty. Nice to meet you. And I think I'll probably meet you at some point, being in New Hampshire too. So well said. And we'll have to chat about those tiny homes too, because that sounds like a cool project as well. Steve, Rachel.
We just had the ribbon cutting. There's going to be 43 of them.
So cool.
And I got,
Justin's going to get you 43 more.
We're going to do 50. Come on. We have to raise the bar.
And these tiny homes are okay, except we need also like some larger tiny homes, because
Yes.
a lot of our families have
Are
2,
larger.
3, and 4 children. And the developers they're amazing people themselves. I'd love to introduce you to them. So they've changed some of their architecture, so that, because now, in knowing what we do, right, they realize, okay, there's tiny homes, but there's families, right?
Right.
And what some people may not be understanding too, and sometimes we don't think about the things down the road, but guys, anyone in our community, in the sub 2 community, if you're not paying attention to what is being said, this is zoning laws that are being changed. These are builders that are coming into the community that are, you may not know of. Not saying you're going to sit there and do all these things, but what I just took out of that was I took about 7 takeaways from what Patty said in 5 minutes. And it was amazing. So like just those little things, you can see that communities are changing. And if, Pam and I had spoken, I said, Pam, I have a house that's vacant. What can we do with it?
Right.
Again, I didn't have this idea up until 48 hours ago. And she's like, oh yeah, we'll talk about that later. I got that. Like, no problem. So let's not think of like, oh crap, how am I going to donate my time and my this and that? Think about what is being said and what can change in your environment. So I don't mean to preach, but that was pretty
No.
awesome. Like the zoning thing too.
And
You know,
can I
and
just
the
say,
thing, if I can just,
Oh.
I'm sorry.
no, I'm sorry, Pam. I'd
If-
like to say one thing.
No,
You
I'm
as-
sorry, Pam, but she's going to keep talking. That's
I
why I
am.
love my Patty.
You as developers, educating people that we are doing housing, or helping families. The NIMBY thing is a very interesting, and I'm sure all of you in the real estate business have heard it, know of it. But these are good families. And so the other really important part is to help. I hope that we could, and Pam and Stephen, I hope we can help you understand our families, because that's
Exactly.
very important. These are good people. These are people who want to work. These are people who want to have a life, but people are priced out now. And so I share that, and I yield.
I call them the C students. They're not of any specialized population. They're low to middle income, hardworking, educated. They just can't make it. And that's the gap, and that's the niche that needs to be filled right now. And that's where we're all going with this in New Hampshire, at least. Rachel hasn't had a chance to talk about Massachusetts yet, but it is huge in New Hampshire. And the other thing too is we're seeing an awful lot of larger families, 3 and 4 and 5 children. That's a big family. That's a difficult apartment to find. Landlords won't rent to or sell to a 2-bedroom apartment to somebody with 3 children, especially if they're different genders. It's a really difficult situation right now, and it's only getting worse. You guys are a definite solution, and I'm so excited about this partnership. There's so much here. And as Patty said, to educate you too about where you put your investment dollars, not just in Family Promise, but in the community. This is real, and this is who we are in this world right now. So, we've got to look at all of this, all of it.
Maybe Steve, you go next, and then I'll end with Massachusetts.
Okay, sure. Because I'm also in New Hampshire, I won't take up too much time. So yeah, I'm the director in Concord, New Hampshire. I've just been with the program for about a year, and Family Promise of Greater Concord's only been around since 2015, so we're on the relatively young side. We just had an amazing success story where we had a single mom, 2 kids, 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, and she was pregnant. And she did absolutely everything she needed to do to get herself out of her position. And then we were able to help her find an apartment and she got into her apartment, I think it was 4 or 5 days before she had her child. And her 6-year-old did a countdown for 2 weeks every single day before he got into his new apartment. And we have pictures of the two kids standing at the door when they're about to walk in for the first time. And it's absolutely amazing, because they were in our program for a little while. And yeah, it's just a great success story. So one of the things we're looking to do is to get into purchasing some units so that we can help the people who come out of or graduate out of our program but can't quite afford to get into market rate apartments,
Right.
where we could help them get into our apartments, and then they would pay cheaper rent and they would still be with us as a program so that we can help them save money and then either get into market rates or possibly even buy their home themselves.
And that's exactly what we're doing too. And you know, Stephen and Patty and I work very, very closely here and very collaboratively here in New Hampshire. We're always chatting, we're always sharing things. Supportive housing is one of our expansion projects as well. It's the submarket independent homes, the independent apartments, and we you know, we have the main facility in Nashua. We are under purchase and sale to expand to another property in Derry. We'll close the second week of November, where we can house another 12 families there. But Patty mentioned too, there's a whole big piece of this. Other than people who can live with us, there is the community. And Family Promise does not say no, or doesn't say no to anybody. We say yes to everyone, even if they're not appropriate for our residential programs because they may have a criminal background record that you know, makes it inappropriate for them to live in a community with children. We have a diversion and prevention program. We prevent people from becoming homeless by getting diversion funding through private funding. We don't get any state or federal funding at all. Most of the Family Promises raise their own money. We did just get a $2.1 million grant to expand our Derry facility, our new facility, but that's for residential. Diversion and prevention is we collaborate with people in the community, other organizations, to be able to prevent someone from losing their home and pay their back mortgages, work with their mortgage companies, work with landlords to prevent evictions. So Family Promises work is not just who we house, but it's also the community that we serve with community case management. We're right now, in the past 9 months, we've served 247 individuals and families through our diversion and prevention program. And that's statewide, and we all work together here. So that's another growing need too, is keeping people in their homes, preventing evictions, preventing foreclosures. We've been doing this for 22 years, Family Promise of Southern New Hampshire. By the way, I've been the executive director for 10 years.
That's a good segue to Massachusetts, because the prevention diversion piece is huge here. I don't want to like bore everyone with Massachusetts stuff. But is anyone on this call from Massachusetts?
Oh yeah, we have all New England is here and beyond.
Oh, great. Okay, so then
Yeah.
this might be interesting to some people then. So,
yeah.
Massachusetts is, even though New Hampshire's like right next door, we're operating on a very different system, because the systems of services are different from state to state, and Massachusetts went about homelessness, specifically family homelessness, very differently than every other state in the country. So Massachusetts is what we call a right to shelter state, which was about 40 years ago. The state voted to approve a law saying that we are a right to shelter state, which means every family that needs shelter has a right to shelter. And the issue is like, it's not actually been that. And I think the whole state and the whole country has thought that it has been for years, because I would go to other states and they'd be like, oh my God, you're from Massachusetts, you're a right to shelter state, everyone must be, that must be so great. It's not, it's pretty awful. And I'd say that it's, it has its benefits in the sense that the state itself took on the ownership of trying to like house or shelter families who were homeless, but they didn't anticipate the level of need that would continue to grow, because at the same time as us declaring that we're a right to shelter state, we stopped producing housing. And Massachusetts is a very small state, as are most New England states, but it's very populated. And the cities kind of stopped developing low-income units, but just units in general. And then the suburbs didn't keep up at all. And you guys were talking about zoning laws earlier. I could talk about zoning laws for a long time, because that's the biggest issue in Massachusetts. So we're in this place now where, due to incredibly strict zoning laws and due to a lot of leeway that I think was given to developers to kind of avoid building certain affordable housing units and things, it really just kind of spiraled into this awful housing crisis that then led to a homelessness crisis for families. And now, as many of you who are Massachusetts residents should know, we are in a state of emergency, which was declared a couple weeks ago by the governor. And then the most recent update is they declared like a week or two ago that they were going to put a cap on the state shelter system. And that was very upsetting for us, because right now, unlike the other affiliates on the call, my affiliate focuses primarily on prevention and diversion. So diversion, the way I describe the two is, prevention is like, if someone is in a unit and has a lease, then we're going to do whatever we can to keep them on that lease and in that unit. They have a unit that they are kind of entitled to. And so we're going to try to negotiate with a landlord, pay some type of rental assistance or even incentive to kind of keep the landlord, from pursuing the eviction process. And so that's prevention. Diversion is basically the families not in stable housing. In fact, they're often in very unsafe housing situations, but the goal is to, how do we keep them out of shelter and out of from sleeping in their cars? Those are the two things that we're trying to prevent with diversion. It's pretty basic, I guess, but that means if you're sleeping on your friend's couch, can we convince your friend to let you keep sleeping on the couch? It means if you're staying in a hotel, can we figure out how to keep you in the hotel? Because we feel that although, and Patty and Pam both alluded to the trauma associated with homelessness. The trauma is kind of at different phases, right? At different stages of homelessness.
Right.
There's the trauma of hearing that you might not have a place to live. Then there's the trauma of packing up your things and moving to your friend's house. And then there's the trauma of coming to the realization that you can't stay with your friend anymore. There's the trauma of the first night you have to sleep in your car. And there's the trauma of the first night you have to sleep in a shelter. And all of those are kind of compounding. And as Patty talked about, it creates generational trauma, which leads to generational poverty. It's the cycle that keeps continuing. And so anywhere we can go along that different line of trauma and stop the trauma for a little bit is beneficial. And so diversion is really how do we keep families from literally entering a very traumatic shelter system or sleeping in their cars. So those are the two programs that we started to focus on during the pandemic, because we knew that it was going to be really bad. And we started to kind of shift our focus, even while there was an eviction moratorium, which was great in terms of helping families stay where they were, but it didn't stop them from accruing debt. So we were working with families who were in $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 worth of debt by the time they were getting evicted. So now not only are they going to get legally evicted because of non-payment, they are getting evicted and put into the housing market again with impossible amounts of debt, debt that is just never going to go away for the income bracket that they're in. And so that we were anticipating that. So we kind of shifted our programs and put a lot more focus on those clients than the shelter piece. We always provided shelter through the rotational model, but it was small. We only ever were able to serve about 4 families max in the rotation model. And that's why, the static site model, in my opinion, is a really incredible shift for a lot of the Family Promise affiliates. And I think Pam's model I have also been to the Nashua site, and it is pretty amazing. And I think that is, in my opinion, I think the static site model is less traumatic, and especially if it's a shelter that a lot of family promises, I think, put a lot of care into how they operate their shelters. So I think, you know, that in and of itself is us trying to prevent trauma, even if you do have to enter shelter. And I would say that when we operated our emergency shelter, that was our focus as well. Those families became like we did anything and everything for those families. And so then, you know, we're now kind of in this situation where we're serving roughly 300 clients, households a year through this prevention, diversion, and other program. Kind of, it's basically families that don't fit into that mold. And a lot of what we're doing is related to the state shelter system kind of collapsing and closing. And so we do a lot of basically like trying to help families even get into shelter at this point, because if we can't prevent and we can't divert, then the goal is to how do we get them from stopping to sleep in their car. You know, we work on a regular basis with families that are sleeping in their cars or sleeping outside. The stories are really traumatic for our whole staff and for the volunteers that are willing to do the calls and work with us. We have found that it's very hard to keep volunteers in the role of actually like fielding phone calls. We started having that volunteer role because our staff was just burning out and losing a lot of sleep, because you would just kind of hear these stories that were just really awful of families that were outside sleeping outside a Market Basket with a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. And so we started bringing volunteers in to take phone calls to help us kind of like almost put a barrier between when my case managers had to like work with the families directly, and then the volunteers couldn't stop crying every time they took the calls. And so then we had the volunteers like sit us down and be like, I think I can't really do this anymore. So it's been a very tough year, especially. And then with this cap on the shelter system, we're literally going into the winter with no course of action set in place for families that are about to be homeless in Massachusetts. And this is the first time in 40 years that that's happened. So we're in a very different situation, but I will say that New Hampshire feels the weight of what's happening in Massachusetts, because that's basically how far we've expanded in terms of families moving out of Massachusetts and Boston. So all of the New Hampshire affiliates, I'm sure, handle a lot of families that say they used to live in Massachusetts or are coming from Massachusetts, because it just keeps kind of permeating out. And I'm sure it'll get all the way up to Canada at some point, because it's pretty brutal. So I don't have as many like positive stories that like Patty and Pam shared. We do have success stories, but I think we're more in crisis mode as an affiliate than some of the other affiliates that are focusing on the shelter piece and offering like job training and things like that. We did that when we had shelter, but now we've realized that the need is with crisis management and trying to keep families safe at night so they don't freeze to death in their cars. So that's kind of our focus. It's not the happiest note to land on. So maybe if someone has a happier story, they can add that. We did just house a woman that was living in her car all through the summer. She's been working with our staff. Her daughter, she worked full-time 2 jobs, and her daughter was in the school district in the Beverly school system, and they had been sleeping in their car. We at first didn't have anything we could offer them for housing because they were over income for everything. They didn't qualify for subsidies. And we got them a Y membership, literally, so they could shower. And so the daughter had a place to go during the day. And then we were able to, through our connections and partners, we were able to get what's called rapid rehousing funding. We were able to get a landlord that we'd been talking to agree to house this family. And so she's no longer sleeping in her car. So I guess that's a happy story. So there, I'll end on that note.
Thank you. I'm sitting here going, I know of a landlord who won't sell this property that's distressed in Swampscott, Massachusetts. And I'm going, I'm just going to lay into him on like, Massachusetts, this is in crisis mode. Give up, do something, we'll find a grant. And it's a 2-family house. I mean, I don't know what, like, these are the things where I'm like, you can connect. We know about connecting. We do a lot of connecting for each other, for other businesses, for trade workers, for cleaners. Doesn't matter. There's connectors in our community. And these are the things where you got to think about where we're going, all right, there's a problem. How do we solve it? Or what can we do on some of these things? And of course, sometimes we're on the other spectrum. You know, sometimes we are the evil investor or landlords that, you know, get the bad name, you know, but there's good eggs here. And one of the things I just want to say is thank you for sharing. And what, if you were to say what you would need, because it might be different than what others need, what would your affiliate need? Is it gas cards? I hate to say it, but like, for me, it's
Yeah,
immediate going
we-
gas cards to put the gas on during the cold nights.
Well, so, and that's usually what we tell people in all honesty. Gas cards are huge. We have a ton of families that are their cars, their livelihood. Even like, I don't know if like Meineke or Jiffy Lube sell gift cards, but things that help them care for their cars is critical. When I say the car is their lifeline, it is truly their lifeline. If you have a car that you want to donate, like I'm sure Patty has a whole car donation program in the Seacoast, but those are like lifelines to families, like finding
There.
vehicles. But I will say too, you know, because our families are so transient, gift cards is what we find is the most beneficial to families here, because we can't give a family sleeping in their car a Thanksgiving turkey. But we can, you know, provide them with a gift card where they can go and pick the items that they know won't expire, that they can store without a refrigerator, that their kids like. And you know, that I think is, but it's tough because a lot of volunteer organizations and volunteers in general don't, gift cards feel impersonal, so it can be a hard ask, but I will say that the families appreciate gift cards a lot. And then I think, you know, in Massachusetts in particular, and I don't want to, I hope I didn't demonize landlords by any means, because landlords also are like our helpline, right? Like if we have a great relationship with a huge developer in the North Shore that has literally saved us in so many ways by just being willing to rent to our clients. But it's tough because you know, the flip side is that there are also landlords and developers that are pushing our clients out. And so it's, I will say that like, it just really depends. And like you said, it's just like I imagine this entire call is filled with good eggs. And I know that landlords have to evict, right? Like we have board members that own property that have had to evict clients, and there are justifiable reasons where people have to evict, and that is okay. I don't think that's causing the housing crisis, right? It's not causing homelessness. So I think ultimately in our area, it really is about like housing shortage. So like if you guys have connections to landlords that are willing to like take a voucher, or connections to landlords that are willing to work with a rapid rehousing program, which feels a little difficult to understand. And you know, if you have units identified, I have community development organizations that are chomping at the bit to build more affordable housing. So there's lots of ways that we can partner, but it is more focused on kind of like, I think, systems change, because we're dealing so much with crisis management, and the crisis management is tough, like to find volunteer opportunities for. So yeah, so that's a good question.
Thank you. No, and that makes total sense. So yeah, no, thank you. That opened my eyes quite a bit, because yeah, we hear success stories, and I heard some things yesterday and about the diversion program and other things. But yeah, it paints a picture and puts it in perspective when these are the things sometimes we forget about. You know, you see it every day. And so no, thank you for sharing. Sometimes we need to hear the crap to really realize, to be in someone else's shoes. So I'll say thanks again.
Hey,
Now-
Justin, can I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
So this is Anthony, by the way. Live in New York, but I got properties in Worcester. Me and my partner bought a 13 unit back in December, and 5 of the units were a group called Family House. I don't know if Rachel, you're familiar with them, but they had 5 of the units, and we were gonna do the typical thing a landlord was gonna do. We were gonna go in there and kick out, you know, Family House and make it a market rent. And we met with them, and it was a very
Friendly House.
yeah, Friendly House. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a great organization. I think they started as they absorbed a Family Promise affiliate at one point.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Yes.
So we met with them, and they had 5 units in this 13 unit. And we met a few of the tenants. They were just good people that were down on their luck, and
Right.
we love their philosophy. So instead of kicking them out, there was 5 vacant units. We gave them the other 5 units. So now they have 10 units in the building, and it's a win-win for everyone. I mean, as far as, not that, I'm not a total profit monger, but I do like profit, and, it's working very well on that end. And it's kind of a good, I feel like it's helping my karma. So for anyone on the call, I think these groups they work both ways. It's great for helping people out, but it's also, you're not exactly giving up the farm by working with guys that, guys and gals like you guys. It's a very win-win situation on both sides. So Rachel, we'll definitely connect. We'll see what else we can do together,
I will add too that, like, Friendly House is a really good example. If you go through an agency like ours to do this type of like partnership and renting,
Right.
Subsidies can be more reliable than if you're just fishing out for market rate, tenants. And the key though, I think, is like having some type of support. If you're worried about a family that is on a subsidy, like partner with an organization that's able to kind of stay in contact with that family and help. And that's why when I say we have a really great relationship with the developer / landlord in the Beverly area, that's kind of what we've worked with, is like, hey, we're here. And if you have any issues with tenants, like we've built a relationship with them. So like talk to us, and like we can help, address what's happening before it spirals, or, because you never really know what causes someone to not be able to pay rent. So doing it that way, where you can, lease up units using a nonprofit that is kind of there for support for the families that you're sheltering or providing housing to, is a really smart way to do it.
It is. And Rachel, thanks for saying all that, because I echo it. And I was going to say, I think someone asked a question in the chat. So our families and our programs throughout Family Promise, we have financial literacy courses that are mandatory to take. It's credit building. It's how to save money. As Patty said, having a relationship with your bank accounts, and you're understanding it and bringing it into your fold and having it be part of your life. That's what we teach through financial literacy. And then the parenting and family education courses. We do age appropriate courses too. We've got 8 teens that we're working with right now in residence, and we've got financial literacy going on for them. They're, sophomores, juniors, seniors in high school, and they're working their first jobs. And what do you do with your money? So we started a very, very young age with all of our education programs. And the relationships with landlords is where it's at, because you can count on someone who's gone through a nonprofit like Family Promise. Our families are well vetted for you. You're not going out into the cold and looking for families off the streets to rent your apartments or rent your units. They're vetted. They've got money in the bank somewhat. They've got, decent credit, and they've got decent jobs, because we do a lot of career building as well. So Family Promise is a good bet for you guys to look into and to partner with.
And I'd like to throw in a little dance about the cars. So years ago, vehicles are not easy to come by, and they're not inexpensive to fix. And I thought, well, if I ask people, they will donate their vehicles, and they do. So over the past 17, 18 years, we've been fortunate enough to, I want to say we're about 67 vehicles. And each one of those vehicles, each one of them either went to somebody currently in our program who had a vehicle that was not roadworthy, because so many people are driving cars that are non-inspectable. And I know that theory of there is no car that can't be fixed, but when you have a vehicle with a value of $5,000 and the repairs are $9,000, it's tough to find anybody who lends support to that. And the other thing is that we are in a time when we don't live in mass transit here in New Hampshire, and it is your lifeline. And we also have had families that that have left our program, and they're working and they're doing well, but their vehicles are old. And what happens when they are not fixable, when they are not inspectable, when they are not holding value, then there's that tripping point, and you don't want to go back there again. we have one mother who she just got a vehicle a week or so ago. And she was driving an old beater, single mom, 2 children. She was just on WMUR, New Hampshire Chronicle. We just had a show. And she, in less than a year being in LNA, she went to LNA training when she was with us. She won Caregiver of the Year for the state of New Hampshire. And she wants to go on and be a hospice nurse. You know, I have somebody else who's studying nursing and she wants to be a cardiologist. And so I think that I'm just going to throw this out there. You all had a dream about something in your life that you wanted to do, somebody you wanted to be. I had it. All of us have had it. These folks have that too. So a lot of times talking to the parents and saying to them, before you kind of got, you know, married and had all the kids and maybe had to, you know, what is it that you wanted to do?
Right.
And to help people sort of go back and realize that they're young, many of them, and they have their whole life ahead of them. So if they want to work in the medical field, if they would like to become a machinist, if they would like to be an electrician, a plumber, you know, we're big now at helping people get into the trades. And so helping these families stay going to work, stay going to doctor's appointments and the kids after school activities and all of those things with transportation, and then helping them utilize their vision translates again to the kids. And so that, and as Rachel so aptly put, you know, what are you showing your kids? How to look at trauma and move forward, or let it own you. And so vehicles is a big thing. So anybody who ever, and there's a lot of seniors, and I go out and speak to the seniors, and was a senior who just donated the car. They laugh at me here. They say I sell the grass. And I suppose I would, I'd sell the grass, but there are so many things that go into these programs. And it was very nice for you to say, you know, you hear things from each of us, but there are so many components that we are all doing. It would be impossible to just, you know, do a Zoom or to do, you know, an hour and tell you. I mean, it's just crazy. So we'll see what happens.
You know, and to follow up with that too, Patty, and so well put, each child has a dream about what they want to be when they grow up too. And so, and all of our teens. So looking them in the eyes and giving them hope, looking those children in their eyes and giving them hope for their future. Because oftentimes they're so traumatized, they're not happy with their parents right now. So we spend an awful lot of time with our children, nurturing, loving, giving them hope, giving them opportunity, seeking opportunity for after school programs and Taekwondo classes and dance lessons and all the things that children want to do. You know, we do that too. We do that too. It's our children. And once you're a part of Family Promise, you're always part of the family. So our graduates never leave us. Oftentimes they come back and they volunteer and they cook meals and they're on our speakers bureaus, and they're the best stories and best examples and the best speakers.
Yeah, I have a board member who was a former mother. I have 2 former mothers who work part-time for us as well. You hope you make somebody as reliable enough so you would hire them, and they've been great workers. So, yeah.
Oh, this Pam. Oh, Sunday, what can we do?
I just want to say to, you know, Pam, Rachel, Patty, and Steve, thank you so much. This started out as a seed from Kim talking to Pace, our leader at Sub 2. And you are amongst a bunch of go-givers here, and starting at the top with Justin. So this is not a one-off where we're just doing this once. This is, hopefully we will continue this relationship and do this for many years to come. not just during Thanksgiving, but, you know, with other needs that you guys have, just like Anthony, you know, with his building, that's fabulous, you know, so now that I didn't know what Family Promise was. I was at another fundraiser, and through conversation with this person who is in the group, she's like, oh yeah, Dee Dee over there, she sits on the board of Family Promise, go talk to her. Cause that's when Kim told me that we were hooking up with Family Promise. Dee Dee then hooked me up with with Rachel, who is in Santa Clarita, California, Santa Clarita. Then she put me with the regional person, and then the regional person, Stacy, hooked us up with Mike, who's in New Jersey. And that's how it all started. So it starts with a seed. So everyone has a dream. Kim had a dream and saying, what am I going to do for Thanksgiving? And so everyone has just a little seed. And if we plant it, you never know. Look we're in almost every one of your states, in multiple locations in some states. So, and we started this, Justin, October 7th is when I was in a meeting with Justin. And so this is how far we've come, and we're moving at the speed of light. We have a target. Let's see how far we can get to the target. So thank you everyone for chipping in and helping and showing the East Coast over there what we can do. So we're doing this nationwide, and I'm blessed that we're here with you and that we can give back, because the thread of sub 2 is we're all go-givers. So
I love that. That's amazing. That's just amazing. What an amazing group of people you are. Oh,
well,
it's
thank you
just,
for all the work that
you're
you're doing
blessed.
boots on the ground and helping all these families that are in need. And what a great time to start launching and doing this with you is during Thanksgiving, because we are very thankful and blessed and fortunate that we, you know, can have the opportunity to give back.
Thank you so much.
Well
Has
said,
anyone
Sonia.
spoken to our national office, by the way?
Yes, Mike.
Okay, good.
We have been Kim has talked with the leader, Pace Morby, his assistant, and with Mike and Kim. They've all collaborated, like I think 2 weeks ago, Thursday. And
Good.
so they're on board. They're doing national press and all that kind of stuff. So it is
This is
official.
Beautiful.
Like
Good.
I was contacting people and they didn't even send out the national saying that we're partnering up. And I'm like, oh yeah, we are. So
Oh,
yes,
this is great.
official.
This is
Okay.
wonderful. Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for all you go-givers. Keep up the good work. Thank you,
Good
Justice.
job, Sunday. Well said. So I think, I mean, now it's almost like the time where we go, all right, break out your checkbooks. Let's go. It's time for donations, write some checks. But what I want to say now is we've heard what the mission is. We heard what's going on. Now it's how do we fill the needs now? And then the next step is we'll do one step in front of the next, and subsequently thereon, you know, the partnership will continue, but we need to deliver. We need to actually, and I think I said it yesterday, Pam, I said, I don't want to, you know, overpromise and underdeliver. What we all sort of come from is we like over delivering. So, you know, but we have to we have to do the first step. So I think what we will need to get together, if we can get some of the other affiliates together, we want to get sort of what everyone is looking for. You know, I know I have a good sense of New Hampshire, Massachusetts. Other than speaking with Natick, you know, Beverly is, you know, it's gift cards. They need immediate, like, things, I guess we'll say. And I lost my words. And then, but, you know, we have Portland, Maine, we have to worry about, and I think there's one more coming up in Maine. And then subsequently back in New Britain, we'll take care of that. And I believe Keith spoke with someone in New Britain, and there's 35 families or so that will be helping.
One thing to note, Portland is a really unique affiliate and they're really wonderful. They serve primarily, almost I think entirely, an immigrant population. So I know that they have a lot of needs specific to the population that they serve. Things that may not be like food drives and things like that might be difficult because there might be a cultural difference in the types of food that that their clients would like. But they're a really unique and awesome affiliate that primarily serves the migrant population, which is really cool.
Well, thank you, Rachel. And hey, I don't want to really spotlight someone, but I'm going to bring them. John Luca, are you listening? I think you were in here. So the gentleman who runs this, John. Hey, John, can you share a little bit about, I guess, what Maine, like, you know, if there is some needs up there that you might even be able to come up with some thoughts. Because I believe you and Z are really well linked up with some of the immigrant population and some of the folks that are just coming into the country and their first stop is Maine. I don't mean to highlight, if you can just share 2 seconds.
Hey, yeah, thank you. I actually just hopped in and I was hearing all the things that are going on. Thank you for the opportunity. Me and Z, we work together, and we're both from a third world country, almost like. And there is a lot going on in Maine. I think you guys have recently heard it that we had a lot of, besides being the immigrants that are coming in, there was a lot of shooting. There was a shooting that took place, I think, a week and a half ago now. And there's a lot of things, a lot of people that are donating to a lot of people that are affected, food drives and things like that. Besides that, there is a lot of immigrants that are coming in Maine. Maine is a very multi-diverse cultural place, and there's a lot of people coming from different countries. That a lot of them don't have housing. Some of them get put into hotels, and a lot of them are now being spread to a lot of different cities, just to be able to for them to meet, you know, for them to be able to leave. And so you find a lot of different groups in a lot of different cities now, when hotels are all filled up. And actually, they used to have like a big complexes where, the expo is where people come in and play sports and things like that. And so they would fill the whole place with immigrants that have come out of different places, just so they can all sleep and go to places in the morning. And so there's a lot of that that's going on. And so also a lot of housing stuff that housing has become a very crunch thing in Maine. And so anything with housing, governments giving out grants for people to, maybe if you say I'm building this to be able to have affordable housing or whatever, they have a lot of opportunities that are coming up for that. But because I just started listening, I just hopped in. I wasn't sure exactly what the topic you guys are focusing on, but this is just a little bit of what I've catched of. But maybe there was a specific topic that you guys were sticking on when it comes to helping and doing all the different things.
John, that was perfect. I just wanted to highlight you. I just wanted to introduce you. You and Big Dog Keith up there are holding it down. While I know some of our other, I know Z and Chelsea are in Texas right now, but no, I just wanted to highlight you. I just want to bring you on. I know you have a story. So, and I think I want to conclude with that essentially, other than I'd love to just put it back to Pam to almost let her conclude where, what we're going to get now, what we're going to do is we're going to collaborate. And I think we're going to let her and her team. I met Joanne yesterday. I met Matthew yesterday. So she has a team of folks that are going to help, and they're going to do some outreach. I'm going to assume, I'm going to put words in her mouth right now. And we're going to get it. Like I said, I keep saying that bird's eye view of New England. And then that's where we're going to come in, guys. And I'm going to treat it as almost one state, but with just a wish list almost of, baskets, I think is predominantly what we're honing in on. So I'd like to just touch base on that and then let's set everyone free.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you
Pam-
so much. We can touch base. We can touch base and figure out how that works best for all of you. By way of, I don't know what the next steps are. I don't know what you need from all of us to be able to move forward. And all of our needs are different, but some of them are common. So would you need for us to get together and reach out to the other affiliates and find out what they need and then get that to you? Is that?
Yeah, I think that would be the best. I think we've gotten in touch with almost everybody. And I think that if we can sort of just get on one chain, I don't know if this is uncommon enough, but if we can, we try not to bring too many cooks into the kitchen And it's like, hey, let's make the Christmas wish list, and we'll call it but for
Right.
Thanksgiving.
Right.
And I know you and I spoke for an hour and a half yesterday, or 2 hours, but I have a good sense of what we need in New Hampshire, Massachusetts. Yeah, we'll do that. And we're going to backfill what right now is what we need right now.
Okay. I think
And
the next best step is for Patty, Rachel, Stephen and I to get together separately and make that list. So it's organized for you. And then, yes, of course, my staff will help out in reaching out and, assisting with anything you need. But I think the four of us should probably have a conversation. Also, Danielle and Natick, we should bring her in as well. And our affiliate up in Maine. I just want to let you know, the gentleman who's from Maine, we are actually opening another affiliate in Belfast, Maine. I know that that's really far up there. Maine's such a big state, but the need in Maine is so great. So they're opening another Family Promise affiliate in Belfast.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, and guys, if you're sitting there wondering, going, hey, I thought we were doing Christmas dinners. We still will do some
Yeah.
food to some degree, but there are needs. We missed the boat a little bit on some of this, just so you know. Pam told me, she goes, actually, we're like, I think Christmas was concluded. The Christmas like signups and food drive and all that was already like, she's like, that's October.
No, it's not concluded by any means. We do have needs for Christmas. Thanksgiving was a little bit different.
Yeah.
We've got large soup kitchens and shelters in Nashua, so we work collaboratively with them for Thanksgiving, but Patty might need things and Rachel might need things and Stephen, you know what I mean, for Thanksgiving. So does that make sense, Patty, Rachel, Stephen, that we have a conversation? Yeah.
And like I said, we just want to, we have to work fast too. So I want to deliver. So I think I'm going to try to keep it into, if I may, the original goal of delivering, for food. So whether that's cooked or raw goods,
Okay.
delivered, like I said, in a basket or some sort of presentation, which it's not about the presentation, but you have the idea. And then if folks are already taken care of, and I know there was some diversion program folks and there was some other folks, if they're, then we talk about the market basket gift cards and the household. I have the list that you gave me of the shampoos and the body washes and the lotions and the diapers and the wipes, guys, all that stuff that's everyday stuff that they need every day, everywhere. So I think that if we can do the combination of the food and the baskets of goods, I think we're going to be able to hit our mark.
And then Patty has grass for sale. So.
And there's always
And
grass for sale. I know someone who's
I'd like to echo Rachel, gas cards.
Got it.
In our place, somebody gave me a $500 gas card, but I don't have anyone to give a $500 gas card to, because that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So I still have that $500 gas card. And I'm trying to let them to break it up. So I say to people, $25 gas cards.
Right.
$25. And though that is so important, because people come and if they haven't been working, if they lost everything, and gas is expensive and people have to go and pick up applications and do all of these things. Gas cards. And that, I know Pam probably told you many others, grocery cards, Walmart and all of those things, but boy, gas cards.
Right.
Tis
Yeah,
the season.
Yeah. And I know
Tis the
folks
season.
that you can buy diesel fuel and they'll put that in a home heating oil. And so, I mean, even that $25 could heat someone's house for probably 2 nights, 2 days,
Right.
Conservatively, or maybe more, but it's just,
But that's 2 nights.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
two nights.
2 of the worst
Huge.
nights. Yeah.
Right.
So awesome. I mean, I think we hit the mark, Pam, I want to let you guys go.
Okay.
I think we hit the mark. Unless there's anything else you guys want to add, I appreciate your time and I appreciate you coming on here. Appreciate you being open to this idea. And yeah, it was a little chaotic, but I told you we're entrepreneurs, so we're all chaotic.
And you know what? We're executive directors. We are too. You got to live in this world to understand it. So we're with you.
We're in good company. Awesome.
We're so
yeah.
grateful. This season of thanks and gratitude, we're so so grateful to all of you.
Yeah.
You're an amazing
Thank
group
you.
of people, and I've choked up a couple of times. You're fabulous. Thank you
Yeah. And
from
guys,
our
any
hearts.
any
Thank
questions?
you very much.
Anyone raise your hand or speak up? But we'll let these guys go, these ladies and gentlemen. Cool.
We'll talk
Then-
soon.
Then
Thanks
there should be
again.
$25 gift cards from at least 40 some odd people here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're the best.
You talk to you soon.
Good night.
Thanks so much.
You
Bye.
got it. Bye. Thanks everyone for being here. You know, it's not real estate all the time. It's not, you know, we got it. This is the stuff that makes this is, I'm going to go on a soapbox for real quick. Like what I've noticed in myself, just doing these things, I've shut off my business for like the last 48 hours. And it's like, you know, this shit to do, but this will move the needle further than if I grinded that 48 hours out. I promise you to God that the change has been real since I've just put everything else, like all my personal kind of shit aside. So no one asked for that. I'm telling you, I'm preaching, but I see it daily. And it's every day. It's like the momentum is coming because of shit like this. And it's self-fulfilling, but it feels good to give. And when you're gifting, it's not giving. You're gifting, you think about it. Oh shit, I gotta think. That's gifting. Go wrap a present and go give it to grandma. When you do shit that's just random and that is giving. And that is the law from that book that we've read. And we met that author, if you were here years ago, The Go-Giver. So you just do it. You know, we have no idea what's going on. Just go with it. So again, no one asked for that. I know people don't like hearing me all the time, but I felt compelled to like just lay it down. But if you're here, I appreciate it. I took some screenshots to see who was here and who's not, because that shit means too. And those are people, that's the people who we're going to show in our filtered environment. And the people you want to do business with, the people that should be in this room. And the people that aren't here, they're filtering themselves out.